Hello YouTube. Today I will be installing a touch probe, 3D probe for the CNC. I got that on Amazon, and usually you can get them from China, but I didn't want to gamble, so I did get this from Amazon, pretty much second day delivery on the Prime service, so it was pretty good in that term. Let's open it up and see how it looks like. It's a tiny little 3D probe, which is designed to work with I guess any CNC software. It's nothing special about it. It's got cable with 3 wires. It can work in the range of 5 to 24 volts. It's capable of working 3-dimensionally, so left, right, up, down, and side to other side. It's got built-in LED as far as I could read on the description. It's supposed to be that ring up here, that's supposed to be LED, and it's supposed to be working in 2 colors. So it's supposed to be working with, it's supposed to be red and green. I don't know which one is which one, but anyway, one is just going to be lit up constantly, and the second one is supposed to be on when it's triggered. The tip of the probe, it's stainless steel, and it's 2 millimeter. So it's not one of the fancy ruby tip probes, and by looks of it, it's exchangeable. So in the event of a crash, or in the event of the crash, pretty much, that probe should be fairly easy to replace. I don't know what thread that is, but it looks something like maybe M3, maybe M2.5. Something in that region. I could check it out and put it in the description later on. It looks like it's got something similar to USB-C as a connector. I'm going to show you the cable in a second. The cable is fairly long, it's around 1 meter something. It's been in the box. It looks like USB-C cable. But on the other end, obviously, it's got less cables inside, because it's only 3 cables. Looks like the 4th one is going through the cable as well, but it's been chopped off by the manufacturer. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be installing that through all the drag chains and to the controller. I will be installing that on the Pokeys57CNC controller. As a second probe, I already got 1 probe installed, which is for the tool height adjustment, and that probe is normally closed. This one is normally open. I did see they do those in a normally closed option as well, but as far as I know, it wasn't available on the Amazon, so I get this one. Now, I know previously you couldn't have 2 sets of probes on the Pokeys57CNC with different state, like normally closed, normally open. Nowadays, I know you can have it. At least I did manage to snag a software from the Pokeys, which is capable of doing normally closed and normally open. And it can support now up to 4 probes. Previously it was only 1 probe. So that's changed. That's why I didn't worry to get the normally closed when I'm already using normally open probe. So it did come in literally like this in the box with a cable, which is like I said, slightly over 1 meter, maybe 1.5 meters, and there was no instruction, nothing, literally just that box, and that's it. So it's a bit shit, but I did manage to find the instruction online. It's fairly simple. Obviously there is only 3 cables, so one is 5 volts up to 24 volts, and please bear in mind this is the voltage. If you connect a, let's say 24 volts, but your breakout board is only doing 5 volt, like my one is in this case, you will probably fry your board. So bear in mind, if your board is 5 volt, you need to connect 5 volt to the probe, otherwise you will burn your breakout board. So this is something to bear in mind, because according to the manual, it will send back 24 volt when there is a contact with a probe. So this is very, very important. And so you got a one which is voltage wire, second one which is ground, and the third one which is signal wire. So that's pretty straightforward. So there is nothing to it. We will be installing that today on the CNC. So there is going to be some soldering going on, and then yeah, it should be good. It should be good. So let's get to it. I didn't mention on the beginning of the video, it's better always to get normally closed probes. It's just a case of broken wire, or it can happen, you forget to plug in the wire during the probing and you send the probe to do your measurement. You still might end up with a broken tip, because when it's normally open, you know, the signal is happening when the probe is actually touching. There is a bit of safety going on when the probe is normally closed, so it's always better that way. I didn't mention that in the beginning of the video, but you will receive a Allen key inside of your box as well. This is to do your tip calibration for your probe. So it's running concentric with axis of a spindle. This is very important to do before you do any of your calibration, which we're going to be doing in the second part of this video. You can see me starting the build. I'm joining the wires with Ethernet wire, which to be honest I was using throughout the whole build of the CNC, and it seems to be doing absolutely fine, and it's got the benefit of a twisted pair, so it's supposed to reduce the actual signal interference. I didn't have on here, I didn't have any heat source other than my soldering iron, so I was using that to basically heat up the heat shrink, so I could make them that way. And now we're going through the process of tracing the wire through all the drag chains. It's fairly tedious process, I must say, and there is a lot of nicks and crannies, and those drag chains are now getting really populated with cables. There is more and more coming through pretty much on a weekly basis with stuff what I add to CNC, either the airlines or electric cables, so it's getting harder and harder to push anything through those lines. I did have to use around 7 meters of Ethernet cable in this case to run from the top of my Z to my electric cabinet box. To push the wire through the box section, steel tubing, I use a bit of cable trunking, which make the process nice and simple. Throughout the whole build, I'm using, I believe it's called avionic connectors. They are used everywhere throughout the build. I got a whole electric cabinet connected with them, so I can anywhere in the time just separate the main CNC from the electronic cabinet, and it just makes everything nice and simple if I ever have to move the CNC, which I will need in the future because it's not in its final position. Over here you can see me using some jumper wires for breadboard and Arduino type of connection. They are being used to connect electric cabinet to the actual Pokeys boards. I did find out it's most simple way, instead of just installing the whole DB25 or whatever these called, those connector types. onto the Pokeys, because I will be using frankly only 3 wires, so I just done it that way, and it seems to be working fine. It's fairly secure because I've been using them previously, and it's good for what I need. Unfortunately, I did not have jumper wires long enough, so I did have to extend them with an extra length of copper wire. Over here you can see me installing the cabling into the cabinet. We will be installing that into LCD connector on the Pokeys. We will be using ground, 5 volt and pin 29 on Pokeys. I will be probably not using LCD connector on that Pokey for that build anyway. In that CNC you can see me reconnecting the pendant for the CNC and connecting the actual probe. Thanks for watching. This is the end of the part 1 of installing the probe. We done all the electrical wire, so we ran the cable, we soldered the cable, and we install this cable into Pokeys57CNC controller board into the cabinet. On the next video we're going to be actually installing the probe itself into the spindle. We're going to be doing the run out test, and if necessary we're going to be dialing that in, so there is the probe is running concentric with the spindle, and there is no physical run out on the stylus of the probe. And then we're going to be doing the Mach 4 configuration for the second probe, because the first one is leaving right there in the corner, so that's going to be second probe on the Pokeys 57CNC done. Stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Cheers.